Okay, let's dive right into this. We are looking at the absolute ultimate clash of wellness cultures. Picture it. On one side, you have a super refreshing, icy glass of water on a scorching hot summer day. But then, on the exact opposite side, you've got the ancient, deeply soothing wisdom of a warm cup of tea. It sounds like just a simple personal preference, right? Well, actually, the temperature of the water you drink has sparked one of the most intense, heavily debated health topics out there.
We're going to be jumping rapidly between these two extremes today, mostly because the viewpoints are just so incredibly polarized. On one hand, you have traditional Eastern medicine claiming that chugging ice water practically destroys your gut. But on the other, modern Western science is insisting that's just a persistent myth. So, who is actually right here?
That is the exact question we're answering in this explainer. Does cold water actually destroy your gut? We're going to objectively unpack the facts, the biology, and the history from both sides of this massive debate just to find out exactly what happens inside your body the second you drink cold water. Section 1. Eastern Wisdom, Protecting Your Qi. Let's start by looking through the warm, amber-toned perspective of traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, where temperature is absolutely everything to your health. To really get this, we have to understand how these holistic systems view the human gut. Basically, your gut is fueled by this internal digestive fire. In Ayurveda, they call it Agni. In traditional Chinese medicine, it's tied to your spleen qi. Think of your stomach as a literal cauldron. It needs heat to break down your food, absorb those nutrients, and give you metabolic energy. So in this worldview, drinking a massive glass of ice water, it's exactly like throwing a wet blanket right over those vital, glowing flames. So what's the physiological logic behind that ancient wisdom? Well, it comes down to one big word: vasoconstriction. When cold water hits your system, your blood vessels instantly contract. That cold essentially restricts your energy flow, clamping down on the gastric blood supply that your stomach desperately needs to digest your food. And that right there is what TCM calls a weakened or stagnant spleen qi. Eastern practitioners point out that this cold-induced constriction impairs gastric blood flow and creates this environment of internal dampness. And over time, that dampness and lack of digestive heat leads to heavy post-meal bloating, sudden fatigue, poor nutrient absorption, and, even brain fog. Honestly, if you've ever felt just incredibly sluggish after eating a meal with a huge iced drink, this philosophy argues that you've literally frozen your digestive engine.
Section 2. The Science of Stomach Shock. Western Biomechanics. Now let's pivot hard to the icy blue microscopic lens of modern Western science, which views this entire process through a completely different framework. Western gastroenterologists hear all these ancient claims about wet blankets on digestive fires, and they ask a very different question based on human anatomy. Does ice water actually have the power to shock a healthy human stomach? The crucial point here is that the human body is an absolute marvel of thermoregulation. Seriously, your stomach is an incredibly efficient biological heater. The second you swallow freezing cold water, your body immediately goes to work. Within just 10 to 15 minutes, that icy liquid has been completely warmed up to your core body temperature of 98.6 degrees. It neutralizes the cold almost instantly, completely preventing your digestive enzymes from stalling out. Because of this super rapid heating process, studies show that for the average healthy person, ice water doesn't shock the system at all. No way! Your stomach acid production remains completely normal. The muscular contractions that move your food along, gastric motility, they just keep working efficiently. And most importantly, your enzyme activity stays totally optimal. So, from a strict Western biomechanical standpoint, ice water does not ruin your digestion. However, Western science does throw in a few major exceptions. If you have a viral infection or a bad cold, studies show cold water actually can temporarily thicken your nasal mucus, making your congestion worse. It's also known to act as a trigger for people with active migraines. And, very specifically, if you happen to have a rare nerve and swallowing disorder called achalasia, ice water can indeed cause severe esophageal cramping and make your symptoms much, much worse. Section 3. The Calorie-Burning Myth, Debunking the Metabolism Hack. All right, let's move on to another popular Western theory, one you've probably seen absolutely everywhere on social media. It's the pervasive idea that drinking ice water is some sort of secret, ultimate weight loss hack.
The claim goes a little something like this: because your body has to work so hard to heat up that ice water, you're burning extra calories. And look, there is actually a tiny grain of truth to this. A study found that drinking cold water does technically boost your energy expenditure by a highly specific 2.9%.
But when you take that 2.9% and drop it into the real world, the actual amount is mathematically negligible. We're talking about burning a grand total of around 8 calories per glass. When you compare 8 calories to your total daily basal metabolic rate of 1,500 calories or more, that tiny sliver on the graph, it doesn't even move the needle.
I absolutely love this quote from outpatient dietitian Andrea Tappe. She hits the nail on the head and puts it perfectly into perspective. 8 calories is the equivalent of a small pickle. So if your true goal is weight loss, you should probably just skip the ice water hacks, stop stressing over water temperature, and focus on skipping the cookies instead.
Section 4. The exercise exception, when cold water is king. Now, there is one specific, high-energy scenario where Western science insists cold water is the absolute, undisputed champion.
When you're exercising hard, we're talking running, cycling, lifting, sweating heavily, your core temperature is climbing straight into the red zone. Timing and temperature matter immensely here. When you drink cold water, right around that 30-minute mark, ideally between 15 and 22 degrees Celsius, it acts as an internal coolant. It rapidly lowers your core body temperature and safely keeps you from overheating.
In this highly active, overheated state, cold water is actually absorbed much faster from your stomach than warm water is. It delays dangerous overheating, drastically reduces sweating and heart rate spikes, and significantly enhances your athletic endurance. For athletes who are really pushing their limits, cold water is vastly superior to room temperature water. It's a real game changer.
Section 5. Hydration Cheat Sheet. The ultimate synthesis. We've seen the ancient wisdom warning against the cold and the modern science saying it's perfectly fine and even incredibly beneficial during a workout. So let's bring these opposing worldviews together into a practical, context-based synthesis so you know exactly what to drink and when. Synthesizing all of this reveals something super important. It's not about which ancient or modern philosophy is universally right. It's really about strategically matching the temperature of your water to your body's immediate needs. In the morning, go with warm or room temp to gently wake up your digestion. With meals, sip room temp water to keep those digestive enzymes happy, completely honoring that Eastern wisdom. But during a heavy workout, grab the cold water to cool your core and boost your endurance, leveraging that Western biomechanics.
Ultimately, healthy hydration is all about context. If cold water leaves you feeling bloated or gives you a brain freeze, listen to your body and stick to warm tea. If you're sweating it out in the summer heat, that ice water is exactly what you need. Pay close attention to how your own body responds, use this explainer to guide your choices, and as always, stay curious.